friends, welcome to another episode of the Urban Homesteading channel. If today is your first time visiting with us, we want to wish you a very, very warm welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. If today is your birthday, we want to wish you a very happy birthday. Being spring and everything, we decided to do a project that can be done by anyone. It is designed to be very, very simple, and it is designed so that it can be made even using just hand tools, right? It doesn't really need power tools. We will use power tools only because we want to speed up the production to finish the video, right? But if you only have a saw and something to attach nails, that's all you need for this project.
Okay.
So as always, we're going to show you every step of the way. We're going to show you everything you need on achieving this project, and both for cost and also the durability, because this will be an outside project. We're going to use cedar planks. Cedar planks have become one of our favorite material, especially when you finish them, right? For this project, they don't need to be finished. We're going to leave them unfinished, which simplifies the project. Mrs. Wizard will have no sanding.
Oh man!
I know, right? I mean, you know, again, the goal of today's project is simplicity. We want to build it as simply as possible so anyone can actually do it, right?
Right.
So again, stick around. We're going to show you every step, and we're going to use picket cedar posts, and this is already cut. The only thing we're going to have to do, because those are offsets for us, is to cut the
dog ear off.
The dog ears off, right? And that's an easy proposition.
These are cedar fence pickets.
Yeah. So today's project requires that you have only two tools, this and this. And this actually could be manual, right? But I think most people have power drills these days. But if you don't, the manual screwdriver will work as well. We did design this specifically to be an easy to build project. So that was the idea I had from the get-go, because I get frustrated when I see projects that I really like, and even with the equipment we have, we simply cannot build, right? And it makes no sense to go and buy a $2,000 worth of equipment to build a $15 piece of planter, right? I mean, just even as a DIY, it makes no sense. So using two picket fence posts and one, what?
They're not posts.
What are they?
They're just fence pickets.
Fence pickets, no posts, boards.
Right.
And one 2x2, we are going to show you in detail how to build this beautiful planter. Stick around. If you've been following our channel for some time, you might know, just might know, we have an aversion to measuring, right?
Some of us do.
Because we believe that it is not producing as good results. It introduces error very frequently. So today, again, we're not going to measure anything. We're going to use story sticks. And what we're doing here, we're taking just an offcut we had, and we mark the length we want to cut out of our 2x4. 2x4. 2x2. Rarely we use 2x2s, don't we?
Right. And the reason why this is extending past this is because we're making feet.
Right. You don't want the planter to sit right on the ground, even though this will be cedar, you know. Ideally, you want it both for drainage and for looks to be just slightly elevated, right?
Okay.
And this, there is no magic number. We just said, hey, that looks right. I mean, that's
Right. This is just a preference on our part.
This is how precise we are in this channel. Engineering at its finest, right? I mean,
Yes.
nothing is too precise for our channel.
Right.
All right.
So this is our story stick. This is the mark that we marked. We are lining up the 2x2 that we're going to cut with that. We're going to mark here at the end for the correct length. And then we're going to cut that 2x2 using our box saw and the miter box.
And really, you don't even need a box saw for this, you know.
But this is the way you can do it if you don't have power tools.
But I mean, you could do it just freehand completely.
That too. This just kind of helps your cut stay straight, right?
But if you use a box saw, you know, you just line the mark you made. This down here. We're almost there, right? Let it
So
going.
obviously this is a little more labor intensive than using a chop saw, but still completely doable, right?
And we are totally, by we I mean I, totally out of practice using.
The box saw.
So we just wanted to show you you can do it, right? It is not
Right.
just us saying it is doable. It is in fact doable, right? And you only need 2 of them. So in this case, it is not a hard thing to do, right?
2?
Yes,
Okay.
just 2. Not even 4.
I thought it was 4.
I know.
Like, does it not need 4 legs?
It will have 4 legs.
Okay. You've got the design. Cool.
So as you can see, we're going to, on this side, we don't need to do anything extra because it's already done, right? It's already cut. On this side, we need to get the dog ears. Is that what you do?
They're dog ears.
We need to just cut them off. And we're going to do that.
And because we have so many of these to cut off, we're going to set up a stop for the correct measurement.
Or you can use your handsaw.
Or you can use your handsaw.
I mean, we are using the chop saw just because we want it to be fast. Right?
And we have one.
And we have to use wood glue, liberal amounts. And this is just to ensure that we are straight, right? I mean,
All of our boards are aligned.
this is
and they're
just a piece
straight.
of scrap. It doesn't have any other function.
This one.
Yes, this piece, sorry. And again, totally different piece of scrap does the same job in that direction, right?
Right.
Now, we can use the same, we can attach them one at a time or glue them all first and then attach them. And I'd say let's glue them all first and then attach, right?
Okay.
You can do it any way you want.
Okay.
All right. All right. Is that enough? Okay. I'll hold that if you. Here. All right. All right, we're going to let the glue start settling a little bit. And there are several methods you can attach this. You can use small nails, which we do not have. That was my first inclination, right? But we don't have any in the shop. We're trying to make this a project that you don't have to have any really special equipment to use, right? We could use our brad nails or staples here, right? And if you have those equipment, that will make it a very, very fast project. I think we settled on screws, right? So we're going to use screws to do this. So we're using a little jig now that we'll only use for this project. And what we did, we used one of our extra 2x2s to have the correct width, right? So now we know, and we're going to eyeball where we're going to put the holes.
So let's back up a little bit. We're
Okay.
using a very thin piece of plywood to essentially create a template for where we want the screw holes to be so that they are consistent on every side that we need to put screws in. So then we used that 2x2 to mark so we know exactly how wide it is, which is consistent with the leg. And then we're going to put 2 screws per board. And then on the other side, we'll take this and flip it to here so that it will be consistent on this side as well.
And we don't need to do anything else because the holes will exist, so that we need to do that one time. Okay. And the reason we do this is because since we were going with screws, they're going to be visible.
And they will be a visual element as part of
Right.
the project, and we want it to be as evenly spaced
because the human eye actually picks that very easily. I
Right.
mean, even a 16th of an inch, you will see it, right?
Right, so we want those to be spaced correctly all the way around the project.
And again, we're not measuring, because specifically in this project, measuring will be almost impossible to do it correctly, since we have to do it 4 times especially, right? Okay.
And so now we've got all 6 holes drilled, and the process is going to be to flip this.
After we attach this, so we don't
Okay,
have
so
to...
you're going to attach it.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, we've got all of our pilot holes already drilled and spaced correctly.
So we do this. We didn't move anything, right? Can you double check everything is flush there?
Looks good to me.
And now we say, now this is locked. Let's do this side, right? And we're not going to show you this. All we do is we're taking the same. No. We're... And we're going to go through the same holes, right?
Right.
By the way, you can use the same process even if you're using nails.
And so we're just using that to space, and we'll keep going with that attachment process.
So we made our first panel, and we're going to make another one exactly like this. We're not going to show you. It doesn't make any difference, right? It's the identical process. And I don't know, you can see it better because you're further, how the screws look.
I think they look really good. They're
So
all
we kind of
evenly
decided to
spaced.
make the screws part of the visual element, right? All right. So we have made our 2 panels. Of course, my other panel is not here, but the 2 panels are identical. And already it has that nice rustic look to it, right? Now we're going to attach the 2 panels with more cedar boards, right? And all the structure is provided by the 2x4s, the
2x2s. Yep.
And this, I expect it to last a long, long time and be very, very sturdy.
Okay.
Okay, so here we are, and we are ready to, as it were, close the box, right? And as you can see, this makes a nice little enclosure, and we are using our the jig we made, right? So we'll show you that. So we start by putting glue on the 2x2. I keep calling it 2x4. And here is the important part. You need to align it, right? That is kind of a cornerstone. You need to align it, and then you need to use the template you made. I guess you don't have to make a template if you don't want to, but it really, I think, made this process much easier. What do you guys think?
Yeah, it definitely helped us with screw placement, making sure that we were consistent. I like it.
And again, this is something that if you were to measure, you will never do it as well.
Right. And this made it quick and easy.
Not quick and fast, quick and easy?
Isn't quick and fast the same thing?
I know.
So now we're going to move this template over.
And flip it.
Well, she's going to put the screws in the first board, the first half
Just
of the
to
board.
hold it.
To hold it in place.
Just the tip.
And then again, we're going to flip this over so the placement is the mirror.
A bit that there was in the danger zone for a moment.
Right.
We'll give you hazardous pay for this.
There's hazard pay?
Yeah.
This is news to me.
What should be used? So we use the first one to tie everything up, right?
And get the board aligned with the top.
Correct. And now we put glue, and we're going to insert the other 2 boards.
Did this one have a correct orientation?
And what Elpida is referring to, if you have a bow, put the bow down, the cap, right? So it's going to end up flat, right? Otherwise, and the reason for that is because our screws are top and bottom of the plank.
Right.
And here it looks like it has fallen into place pretty nicely, no?
Everything's coming.
And now we're going to use our template to do the rest of the screws.
The top and the edge of the top board, and then we can finish the last two boards. And I will hold it in place while Mrs. Wizard does that.
We use our Greg jig to make pocket holes to attach the supports for the bottom, but you don't need to have that, right? Remember in the beginning we said we want to show you how to do everything if you don't have a lot of equipment,
tools,
right?
yeah.
As long as you have a normal drill, right? You take the piece that you want to attach, and first you start straight, and then you give an angle. You see it there coming out? And then we need to find a screw, and we need to find a...
There's a little one.
Okay, that will work.
Now this is an actual Craig type screw,
Right, but because that's what we have at this moment.
but you don't need it if you're just
It is this one.
If you're just trying to make do with what you have, you don't have to have those Craig screws.
Correct. And I saw you that it can be done, right?
So this is at that angle, and it will hold together.
Okay, of course it rotates because it only has one screw, but that's not uncommon. And as you can see, we didn't come off anywhere, right?
Well, it kind of did, but I think it was just
But
because
that's fine,
we're
yeah.
using this as an example.
Right,
It
the
wouldn't-
idea is you don't need a Craig. And
Right.
even here, you don't need the screw, actually. You can use a normal screw.
Right.
In fact, the idea, people think that the Craig method is new, but if you look at the furniture that were made 100 years ago, that's what they used to do. And they used to use the method that I just showed you. You start straight, because it's very hard to start at an angle, and then very slowly you bring your drill down. The worst thing you can do is actually break the drill bit. But if you do it slowly, you will not.
Right. And the only thing that the jig does is to make things easier, to make you consistent with your holes, to make sure that you're drilling at the right angle, right?
So as we told you, we made some supports that they are going to be used to hold the dirt and the plants we're going to have, right? And if you put it down here, you're going to need quite a lot of volume of dirt to fill it, right? And there is no need for that. So we decided we're going to put it here, like flush with the bottom of the second piece. Of course, you could be smarter than us and make the whole thing smaller, but
But it's still a nice size if you wanted to put, for example,
Right.
some really nice bushy flowers.
or you could put your Hawaii plant on this.
Yeah.
You know, so this really it's better fitted for something big, right? A large plant or something like this. So what we're going to do, we are going to try to align this correctly, and we're going to have to use a little percussive persuasion. Yes.
Can you stop?
So these were cut so that they would be very, very snug. And in this instance, we're going to need to do a little bit of percussive persuasion, but that's okay because that means they're going to stay right where they need to go. Percussive persuasion here.
Am I flush here? Fantastic. And again, here you decide where you put it, right? You decide how far you want it.
Right. And this cedar looks really, really lovely. I recognize it by now. Go ahead.
So these are going to be our base, you know, where our
The floor of the
right.
planter.
And we need to make two notches, one on each side, because as you can see here, we have the
We've got these,
the
and so
does.
so we're notching the floorboards to go around the 2x2s.
And you can use a normal saw to do this notching, right? This is not a very hard cut. And this doesn't have to be perfect, by the way, because it is
It's not visible.
it is not visible. So here we are. This is our base. Again, this is something you decide where you want to put, and in our case, we can move it. We have not glued the support, right? So if we want it to be deeper or shallower, we can do it. And the idea here is to save some of the dirt, right? Because this is a fairly large piece of planter.
Piece of planter. So you can see that we use 3 boards across and we notch them out to make them fit. And then I'm going to show you on the back side how they actually rest against our supports that we installed. And that's what's going to hold them in place with gravity and the dirt.
And this is actually a very beefy construction, right? It's a very simple construction, but very beefy. And now, the neat thing about this is that you can make a lot of visual
Design,
changes,
visual enhancements if you wanted to.
Right, for example, you can put
Trim.
a trim to cover all the screws, and in the middle put those the classical X.
Cross.
That it is not going to be structural. This is very, very strong, but it will be a look thing, right? And we are deciding we're going to do something, not necessarily that. That was an idea, right? That you can do, but you can dress it a little bit, or you can leave it as it is.
Okay.
It's not necessarily. So we decided to go with a simple frame around it, right? And we're going to hold it together with glue and a screw on in one corner, right? So we're going to use 4 more screws in essence.
And we did this on the round so that you can see this is lined up on this corner. This one goes to this corner, and it just does that all the way around instead of like a mitered corner or 2 sides being the same length and then the 2 shorter sides.
Okay.
Again, this is just a visual interest and it's a preference. We happen to like this pattern.
And the problem with miter corners in outdoor projects is that they tend to separate as the wood seasonally contracts and expands, right? This is a little more robust. It is not impervious to it, but it's a little more robust. Right, let's put the screw here.
And so we did drill a pilot hole here so that we're not splitting anything. We've got the glue in place, and then just gonna put 1 single screw in each corner.
And if you were using a nail will work fine here as well, right?
Since we're already using screws, it kind of goes with the rest of the project though, right?
And the goal for today's project was that anyone can build it. We are among those people that we have a small shop and realize that we have more equipment than a lot of our viewers do. But we also watch other channels that they have, like, our shop looks like we have a hammer and a screwdriver, right? I mean, that our equipment is very much primitive, and it is kind of annoying. It is kind of annoying to see a beautiful project that you realize you cannot build because you do not have the equipment to build it.
All the specialized equipment, the super equipment.
So this is a project that a screwdriver and a handsaw will allow you to build it.
And as you saw, where the screw is going is, go ahead and you can lift that, it's going to be right here because that's where the meat of it is. So that's where we're trying to hold it in place.
And this is trim. You cannot lift the planter using this, right?
Right. And
you know they look like nice handles. So this is just not.
But don't do that.
Right.
You might be able to get away with it before it's filled, but definitely not after it's filled. But still not preferred.
Right. And of course, the cedar smells really nice.
Yes, and has an amazing, lovely grain, which is coming out really nicely on this.
Now, in this project, you shouldn't smoothen it, right?
Right, you don't want to make it smooth because.
Now, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Peter. If you were to put it indoors, maybe you would.
Yeah, for a more finished look.
Right, but we plan to use it outdoors.
This is a rustic piece for outside, so that's why.
And these boards, guys, when they're planed, look amazing, right? I mean, they just.
Yeah, maybe you can put a card or two up with the other projects we've done where we've planed those and made them come out very nice.
And they're fairly inexpensive.
So we've got one more to do. We're going to finish that up.
This beautiful planter cost, right? We actually use scraps. We have way too many scraps, don't we? But if you were to buy it in today's prices, and today is still April of 2022, in case you're watching it
on the East Coast,
way in the future, a cedar post fence picket is $4. Actually, just under $4, but let's say $4, and you will need 2 of those. For this dimension, right? So that would be $8, right? And then you will need 1 2x2, and that was $5, right? So 8 plus 5, last time I checked my arithmetic was 13, right? So this is under $15, and I challenge you to go and find one for under $15. And we maybe need to do the unthinkable and measure the dimensions of this, because of course the dimensions make a difference
Right.
on cost.
Because you might need more boards than just the 2 pickets. Right.
But in our case, it was an under $15 project. It is an easy half a day project, wouldn't you say?
Oh yeah.
I mean, even with us filming it,
Yeah.
about half a day. But if you're not filming, but let's say you're using a hand saw, and if you are that, the orange store and the blue store will cut things to length if you ask them.
Yes, they will.
And it used to be 25 cents. They do it for free now.
Mm-hmm.
Last time I asked them to cut something, there was no cost.
Right.
So if you don't want to cut by hand too much, have them cut it for you.
Mm-hmm. Just take your cut list, have your boards ready, and then
Right.
that'll also accelerate the time for your project.
Right. It will be nothing. It will be just screwing things together.
Right.
All right, folks. So $15 or less, and you can have this beautiful planter. This is our final product, and we are really pleased with it. In fact, Mrs. Wizard plans to put some soil in it and plant even today, right? And it kind of matches the one that we built some time ago. Actually, it exactly matches other than the orientation, right?
Right.
Now, if you want to make a different orientation, you can using the same equipment. It's just that you need to do a little more of a structure. If you come here, Elpida. Because we're using the 2x2s to make structure with the boards. If the boards are facing this way,
Yeah.
you will need other verticals, right? But that's the only difference. You can
Right.
still do it.
So because our boards are in a horizontal orientation, we only needed the corner 2x2s as structure. If you put them in a vertical orientation, so up and down vertical, then we would need additional structure across to help
Right.
hold all those boards in place.
But the rest of the process will be the same.
Right.
Well, folks, we hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you did, a thumbs up really helps us a lot. If you didn't, press the other button twice. Share, like, subscribe. Let us know what else you might want to watch in future episodes of the Urban Homesteading channel. From Dr. Wizard, Mrs. Wizard, Elpida, and of course the Urban Homesteading channel, farewell.